post Lunchbox, and Masan, I did quit. I called it quits. I'd gone to different ashrams.
We have opened up a lot in terms of telling stories which is fronted by a female hero.
I think I have colored my hair white during Gangs of Wasseypur to be taken seriously.
You're told to tweak a script a little bit more so as to adjust a male character on whom the film can be pegged.
When we were putting together Paglet, I remember everybody was like, who's going to watch this story of a widow?
So here we are with some filmmakers and producers who are making a lot of noise recently. And I mean it in a good way, okay? Hi ladies, welcome to the Quint.
Hi.
Oh.
We have been hearing a lot that things are changing and new roles are being written for women of different ages, and we are moving ahead. They are female in the lead roles now. But don't you think we are all moving in a snail's pace? ऐसे तो मतलब और 100 साल लग जाएंगे. Don't you
We
think so?
have been wrong for so many years. Time to lagega
for
hi,
very
thoda, one day at a time, one step at a time.
If you look at the corporate world, I mean, you'll see the top, how many CEOs are there?
Absolutely.
So those glass ceilings exist for women in every sector, in every field. And it's happening. But there are reasons that women, after doing really well at a mid-level, this now I'm talking across sectors, opt out. Or during the pandemic, more women have lost jobs, than men. And it is an unfair world, and it's not going to get rectified like that. Like Tahira said, there's a lot of catching up that we have to do, and that's across sectors. Snail space, theek hai, but at least it's happening, no? So yeah.
That's a good thing.
I do think that the Me Too movement helped expand the conversation and brought the lack of the disparity or the lack of inclusivity up front and center, which was only a few years ago. And from then and now, I feel the conversation is expanded across Hollywood and Indian cinema, which is a positive foot.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah, foot forward.
Before you guys became influential producers, do you remember any appalling things that you have heard from, financiers or creative team when you guys, about the script when it's a female lead?
All the time.
Tell me all about it. What are these
Kaun
things?
dekhega?
Really, that is the
who
first
will-
thing they say?
Yeah, who will come see? Also because there's lack of precedence. Also because hero culture, hero film का इतना precedence है. उनका इतना footprint है और इतना precedence है कि उनके numbers हैं, उनकी 50 फिल्में हैं, वो इतने सालों से इतना काम कर रहे हैं. So the minute you want to break through that and you're like, like when we were putting together Paglet, I remember everybody was like, who's going to watch this story of a widow? And it's so much crying, so, but I kept saying that it is a satire, it's a dark comedy, it is, but it's very difficult to get through. And of course, I needed another woman to finance it, which was Ekta and Balaji. But I went through a year long of rejection.
Like when I made Pash, I didn't find finance. Finally, literally, they were private financiers who helped me make that film. Like, it was no go. There was no discussion only. It was not even like I was being told, ki ye kar lo. They said, what is this? Possible hi nahi hai.
My God.
I feel you're still told to include male characters. I feel still you're told to tweak a script a little bit more so as to adjust a male character on whom the film can be pegged. But the film can be about the female characters. But hello, why do you need the boy? But because that's how you get the budgets. It's a conversation of 2022. It is still happening. It's happened with me enough and many times with a sweet little script that I've tried to make and I've made it, but not without the repeated feedback of maybe trying to include or giving more precedence to male characters so that we can get in a known face so that the film can ride on him and so that the other women can get their due, which I found really warped. And I'm very grateful that I did not go down that route. But this conversation is happening even in today's time. So yes, you're right. To your first question, are we inching slowly? We are. But are we inching at all? Yes, we are. So it's a good space to be in.
I think I have been very lucky. I would put that. I would say I've been very lucky. Is that the kind of stories which I wanted to say and what I wanted to say, I always got that kind of actresses, hero actors who could spearhead and make sure. And I also got producers who were willing to put in that conviction and move ahead. So the budgets change, obviously, but still you make it and you see it there. So I would just say I've just been lucky because of the OTT and because of platforms like Netflix and others. We have opened up a lot in terms of telling stories which is fronted by a female hero. The change happens is when you start getting scripts saying that, you know, this is a script and it is, and from quintessential producers who have only made films which are hero centric. So when that shift is there, which means there is a change moving. Yeah, it's slow, but there is a change. I also feel that it is important to give like big loud claps to all the actresses out there who are fighting, you know, tooth and nail, however, to make sure that they themselves represent themselves that way. Because when they represent that way and when we have stories, it's a correlation. That I have a story because I know that there is this actress who would be willing to join me and, you know, partner me in that. So it is a two-way process.
You know, have you guys ever experienced what's being called the imposter syndrome? Or do you know anyone who, your colleagues or friends who have gone through that?
Me, all the time. I actually left the industry 3 years and I came back post Lunchbox. And Masan, I did quit. I called it quits. I'd gone to different ashrams and just because my peer group and everybody and people that surrounded me, everything was so first time that you have, you know, we were able to distribute in a certain way. We didn't know Lunchbox numbers will come after 3 years because it was an international route of distribution. And that is what is all changed right now. But this is 2012, 13, 14. And I had called it quits because it was too much high pressure of making these first-time director films, low-budget films, and releasing them and doing the whole marketing and putting it on cinemas. And what I was told is like, you're a fluke. And I believed it. And I just thought, ki, I've done it once, I will not be able to do it again. And ye to ho gaya, I got lucky. So I didn't think that it was talent that is sustained over the years or it is knowledge that I bring to the table. But I was convinced that I am just here by accident and somebody decided to give me an opportunity. Over my spiritual journey post that, I got back into the business in 2017 and 18 when I was like, okay, I'm here to only tell stories. And then I was able to make Surya Rai Potru and Paglet more recently.
For me, honestly, it's less to do with being a filmmaker, but more to do with being a woman. So it's less to do with how people made me feel and more to do with how I have felt the entire life. And then there is a huge cloud of self-doubt. And I feel now, because of awareness about, also because you've grown, it's why you feel a certain way is also because even if people are not vocal about it, you can feel the vibrations. You can feel the eyes on you, always judging you. So for me, it took a while to come out of my shell and really share my dream of life with the world, with my family after having 2 kids. I used to write, but I only used to write for myself. Like my laptop is full of stories, but it never even made it out of like, the only person that I narrated to eventually, not even in the beginning, after many years, was my husband. So I was just so scared all the time, scared of what, I don't know, people do fail and it's okay to fail. But just as a woman, you're not given a second chance, very honestly speaking. So the pressures is less to do with the profession that we are in, but more to do with the gender that we have. And there is no denying that.
But I was able to even articulate gaslighting because of the Me Too movement. I didn't even know the meaning of the word or what it is. But and as I read more about it, I was like, okay, so you know, and you know, you're just in a spot and you're grappling with so much judgment, you know, and how do you there find a solace, find a ray of hope, you know, find that strength to start again, because I'm not a writer-director, you know, I need to lean on a writer-director. I can take their journeys and the journey of stories and add value, but is my value add needed, you know, so that definitely got me on the wrong side of spiral.
Can I just add to this to what Guneet said about Me Too? Because, earlier when you spoke about the snail space and all of that, I kind of made it very generic and said it's across sectors, which I still agree with. But I think what she said, and it got me thinking that there is now gender sensitization which has happened, which is important because about 15 years back, I was working with a music channel, which was very cool, very irreverent. But a huge part of its irreverence was locker room conversation. Normalizing locker room conversation. If you wanted to be one of the boys, you were cool about it also. So, and you felt you were part of that culture. You said, I don't want to be uncool. So if these boys are talking like this, or if they're talking about anchors in a certain way, a deeply sexual way, but in a very cool way, because you're supposed to be cool and irreverent, I was like, I can't get offended because I'm not one of those typical girls, right? So that conversation has changed. Now those colleagues, those former colleagues are friends of mine now, and now I tell them, guys, like, it was not cool. And even they acknowledge it, that it was not cool at all. So I think, to a certain degree, that has changed. The gender sensitization is very important.
Can I please confess something? In my 40s, I'm a supremely confident person. I believe it has to do with best effort and supporting each other, really. And if you don't take that step, you will not make the mistake. And I have reinvented in my career so many times, and I have a new avatar now also with this new vertical I've set up. I am seriously very, very confident in what I do. I have discovered myself in my 40s.
Superb.
I can't wait to be 40. So
because
it happens on sets, because whether you're a filmmaker or a producer, that these men just don't take you seriously or not ready to take your instructions.
Yeah, totally. I think I have colored my hair white during Gangs of Wasseypur to be taken seriously. I was talking to a colleague and she was saying, she's a young producer in Sikya, and she was saying that, I feel, and we were just having a free flow conversation, she said, I feel that when you are getting work done on set and there is a lot of junior staff and there's a lot of labor, they're not listening. So you literally have to interrupt them a lot, especially men. And she's like, I don't interrupt women, but I have built this habit of interrupting men to be heard. And I found it very fascinating because they don't listen. They're not taking instructions from you, so I'm interrupting. And it's become a habit. And I was like, and and as she told me that observation, I was like, it's so interesting that how we internalize and how we respond to somebody seeing through. Like I have worn sarees, I have prayed for specs and to look older, because you're facing ageism. You don't know if it's a gender thing, it's an age thing, but we have our internal response to that time at that moment.
I've never faced this issue at all, so that wouldn't be there. But I do understand that the moment you think that, okay, no one is going to listen to me, and I need to work harder, is when the problem arises. So if it's a group and you feel yourself as an equal, and you put your point, like she's saying, is then I don't see. Yeah, I'm in my 40s, so I'm fine.
Also, my mom was a cop guy, by the way, guys.
Oh wow!
Now we know. Now we know.
And my mom was a
cop.
Now, so
and I think my mom was a teacher and principal. So मतलब दुनिया भर में मैंने यही देखा है कि ज्ञान देते हैं.
It's in you.
I think I just stopped tuning into it. I have consciously switched that button off. So honestly, that's why probably now I don't see it. And also over time, I think I have eliminated a lot of those elements.
Yeah.
I've also had no issues as a journalist or now working with predominantly male crews. The technical crew tends to be male. No issues at all.
No issues at all.
Yeah.
In fact, it's a lot more fun and
Yeah, no
it's
issues.
From a
normal.
super middle class family and seen my mom being bullied and been in therapy to even articulate my position and being a producer and to be able to discuss my position with financiers, with P&Ls, with raising a serious amount of money per film, setting it up. I've always had to push back and consider if my seat on the table is valid, if I'm asking too much. I've always been made to feel maybe you're overstepping. So yeah, I think each of us have different experiences.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank
It
you,
was
Leena.
lovely talking to you guys.
Thank you.